Hello and welcome to the Best Today Podcast. I am Shantae Grant, your host, and today I have a very short episode for you. I said something in response to a friend on social media, and I said, I have to share this on the podcast because it needs to live somewhere else. So, short backstory. If you've listened to a good number of the podcast episodes or listen to any of my content, rating my content, you know, one of the common themes that I have reiterated time and time again is the importance of understanding the power of small and how every big thing that you ever see, some form or fashion, started off really, really small. And it's so important on the journey of life for us to celebrate the journey. Not the finish line. At the finish line, all you're doing is celebrating the things you did before it, right? It's not the fact that you crossed this black and white checkered line. It's who you had to become and what you had to do to become the person who could even do that. And so often in life, people are waiting, they're holding their breath until the finish line, which is funny because I always say the finish line, another name for the finish line is the starting line. Right? Life doesn't just end right there. It's like, okay, and here comes the next day, next breath and moment of life. So it just takes the weight off of these things. And how I got to this, what I'm going to share today is a friend of mine, Ashley, was sharing on her Instagram stories about her journey with fitness. And she was just sharing and encouraging people who, particularly maybe if you have a goal that is related to your health or your physical, related to like a certain number. Like I want to get to this certain number. She was encouraging to not look at the number as like the only thing that you can celebrate, but look at the fact that maybe I can do 5 push-ups off my knees when I could only do 1, 4 months ago. Or look at these other things like you're getting stronger, more flexible, making better choices in your health. In your meal planning. Just there's so many other things to celebrate other than a number on a scale. And she wanted to remind people of that. And I responded to her and I said, it's so funny because people are always looking at 10, but they forget the fact that 10 is nothing without 1 through 9. And that's what I want to tell you today, because I think that's another illustration for you. If you think of it that way, if you think of a number line from 0 to 10, you've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're just using 10 as an example for this. But let's say 10 is a goal you're working toward, whether it's a diploma, it is a promotion or a job or a point in your health, like being able to run 5 miles, being able to run 1 mile, being able to run for 1 minute, whatever your 10 is, right? Your North Star. What I want to remind you is that it's absolutely nothing without all the things that precede it. You don't get to run your first mile without first running your first minute and your first 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, your first half mile. And to celebrate that just as much as you celebrate reaching the being able to run a half mile. Because guess what? If you can run a half mile, you're halfway to your goal of running for 1 mile. And so, but that running for 1 mile didn't just happen. It was absolutely impossible without doing the work before you got to the goal. And so you cannot celebrate, or you can, but I'm encouraging you not to wait until the thing is there, but to celebrate the journey that's getting you there. So many, and also I submit to you, as Maddie James always says, I submit to you that if you want to get to the goal healthy and mentally and emotionally, stop thinking about it as just like lording over you. Because you're so focused on what seems so far away that you're forgetting what's right in front of you. So actually, if you want to get there faster, stop looking at it and look at where you are, right? You cannot get to 10 without the work of 1 through 9. So why are you looking at 10 when you're at 2? You should be looking at 2, 2.1. Chances are when you focus so much on 10, you're not going to be satisfied and content with 10. You're going to get to 10 and be like, oh, man, I'll be much happier when I can do now 2 miles. And now it's like the benchmark for quote unquote health, happiness, whatever it is, satisfaction keeps getting nuzzled further and further and further and further away. And so today, with this illustration of the number line 0 to 10, all I want to encourage you is to remember the importance of 1. Oh, I am celebrating the fact that for the past 2 weeks, I have gotten up, put on my running shoes, and run for 3 minutes every day. I make myself run 3 minutes and then I stop. And then next week, I'm going to do 4 minutes every day and then stop. And celebrate that, as opposed to like, oh yeah, I just can only run 3 minutes. I'm not there, but I'm trying to get to being able to run for 10 minutes or being able to run for 1 mile. Okay, well, why are we talking about the mile? We understand it's important to understand the vision and the end point for that time. But once it's been defined and declared, you let it go. Then go to where you are, because the only way you're going to get there is in the present day. And so understand the strength it took to get the win, to get to your end goal. The strength, like the win isn't the win. The win is in the everyday, the consistent. That's the thing I have tried to say in so many ways. I'm actually going to link for you a ton of other episodes where I've talked about this, but in different ways, in hopes that maybe this way makes more sense to you, or you can listen to another way I've tried to put this, because it's all the same message, but described in a different way that hopefully it will hit home for someone, for you. Find the way that hits home for you, right? You have to understand the strength it took to go from not being able to do something and being able to do something. And I'm just using running here as an example. Please pick whatever your thing is, but the strength it took from being able to not run for a minute and being able to run for 10 minutes, that took that took work. And so celebrate when you can do 2 minutes and 3 minutes and 4 minutes. I don't know if y'all recall, this was maybe over 4 years ago when I was starting to get into running. I would post on social media, like I have a picture of me with just one finger up saying I ran my first mile today. Then I have a picture with 2. I have a picture with 3, 4, and 5. Like I celebrated each one of those, and I was trying to get prepared for a 10K. So I was trying to get up to that. And when I tell you the joy of celebrating the progress, and I never talked about the end goal after I said it. Like no post said I'm this much closer to I just celebrated where I was. I didn't even say this is on the road to getting to the 10K. It was just like, I just ran a mile. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today.
Hey besties, this is Carlin, and I wanted to give my review of the Anytime Today journal. I want to say thank you, Shantae, for creating this journal. It's really helped with me being consistent in my journaling practice. I feel like I've always loved the idea of journaling, but nothing has ever stuck before. The prompts are really helpful, and I also want to commend you on the practice of writing to a goodbye letter to the month as well as a hello letter to the month. I know for October, when I went to sit down to write my goodbye letter, I was really focused on some recent events that had happened that had not gone well. So I was fully prepared to write a goodbye and a good written letter to October. But something said, take the time to reflect on what you wrote. And I'm so glad that I did, because there was so much goodness in there. There were so many things that I had forgotten in just those few 31 days that really changed my perspective of how October went and how it's ending, and changed my trajectory for what November will come, or what I said about my hello letter to November. So thank you for that. I really enjoy that practice every month of looking back and now reflecting also to remember those things. So while October was not without challenges, there was a lot of good to be celebrated as well. I also recently gifted an Anytime Today journal to a friend, and she just reached out and said how much that she's loving the journal already. And it's only been a few days. And also thank you for pulling all of that support content together, because in addition to gifting her the journal, I was able to send her some podcast episodes, a blog, as well as a video that you use to promote the journal, to give her that supportive information so that she's not just flying blind with using it. Of course, I told her all the great things that I've learned from being a part of your community about using the journal, but I think that it was just helpful that she was able to use that content and go through it at her own time to learn more about the program and about the use of the journal. So I find myself that I always want to have the journal with me because I want to keep all of my thoughts in a place, in the same place that I can reflect as in that practice that I use with the hello and goodbye letter. So thank you. I'm loving the Anytime Today journal. I'm coming up on ending my first one and have already purchased a second one, so there will be no lag time. Thanks again.
Carlin, thank you so much for that fantastic 5-star review. So many things you said that were so good that I hope you all caught up on. One of those being all of the resources we have created here at Best Days to surround you. So I just don't send you a product and say, good luck, right? You have this podcast that's going to give you insights. We have the Best Today community where you can come in and ask questions 24/7. It is a constant place of support and accountability. Also a lot of exclusive things going on in there. So if you're not in the Best Today community, make sure to join us there. That's also linked here in the show notes. But thank you so much for sharing and for gifting the Anytime Today journal. It is truly one of my favorite things that I have ever created. And I just wish we could get it into the hands of more people because I'm telling you, it's so powerful. Do not underestimate this simple practice that takes, like you said, the guesswork out of journaling and also any pressure from journaling. But you reap all of the many, many, many benefits of journaling, which I've talked about here on the podcast as well. So thank you again for being so generous with your time to share that review, to share it with friends, and then to share other resources. I am grateful for humans like you, Carlin. So I just say thank you, thank you, thank you. So even if my goal is to get to a half marathon, 13.1, I think, I'm going to celebrate one like it's the 13 because it is. It is in that the only way I'm going to get to the 13 is if I can do one. And then I got to do that 12 more times. And so honor who you are today instead of thinking you're only worthy of applause or recognition when you've met some end goal. Because what kind of life is that? And what kind of view of yourself is that? Extremely skewed and inaccurate, unhealthy. So today I just give you the number line, 0 to 10. 10 representing something that you are currently working toward. And I encourage you, wherever you are on the number line, 0, 1, 1.1, 9.9, please celebrate and recognize the wins along the way. And I want to give you a few more episodes to listen to with a similar message, but in different ways. Episode 26, Why Gratification is Necessary for the Journey. Write these down. Save this one too. Go and bookmark it wherever you're listening. Episode 44, The Courage to Be Consistent. Episode 47, The Power of Small Intentional Steps. Episode 99, Let It Be Small, How Every Big Thing Happened Because of the Power of Small. Episode 109, Are You Celebrating the First Downs in Your Life? How to Celebrate Life Without Waiting for the Finish Line. That one was extremely popular. So listen to that one. It's a sports illustration, and I can't believe I made a sports reference, and it actually works. And then 142, 2 words that have the power to change you and your life for the better. Go back to those 26, 44, 47, 99, 109, and 142 and listen to the message and find the one that hits home for you. And let me know which one that is, because I would love to hear from you and celebrate you for all that you are endeavoring to do and become. Thank you for being present with me for this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. I hope that it was an encouragement to you and that you will go back and listen to those other episodes that I referenced. Remember, the best way to support this podcast is leaving a review and sharing it with a friend, and also letting me know your favorite parts and what questions you have. To hear more from me, I invite you to read and subscribe to my online publication. It is called For Those on the Journey. That's you and me. It's linked wherever you're listening to the podcast right now. You can also find it by going to forthoseonthejourney.com. Thank you so much for subscribing. There, you're going to get a lot of information, especially in the upcoming months. So make sure to subscribe today. As a matter of fact, go on and do it right now. All right. I will talk to you here on the Best Today podcast on the next episode or a previous episode if you go back and listen. Until then, bye for now. This podcast is provided for you every week by Best Today, where we are on a mission to help you to live and work well. We do this by creating resources that bring intention to how you plan, schedule, work, and live. You can get started in one of 3 easy ways. First, by taking our product quiz at besttoday.co/quiz. 2, joining us in our online community, the Best Today community, at besttoday.co/community. Or 3, connect with us through email at besttoday.co/email, all of which are linked below in the show notes. To learn more about our company and what we do, visit besttoday.co and join thousands of customers around the world pursuing a life of intention, one today at a time.